Welcome to the TCS Woman Podcast, where the ladies of the top contractor school are going to get together to discuss what it's like to be a woman in construction, leadership, and navigating the balance between it all. Your host for the TCS Woman Podcast will be Carla Goldammer, who has been in construction for almost 30 years with D&J Site Construction. She will be accompanied by a rotation of co-hosts that include Elizabeth Reinman of RK Reinman Construction, Sandra Albert of Bay Country Contractors, Lillian Calloway of K&L Industries, and Kelsey Wright of Pro Line Parking Lot Maintenance. Let's get started.
Well, welcome to TCS Woman Podcast, and we're a group of women that are gathered together who are learning how to be successful in a male-dominated industry. And today we have co-hosts of Kelsey Wright with Pro Line Construction. Is that right?
Pro Line Parking Lot Maintenance.
There we go. And you are in?
Oh, we're in Charlotte, North Carolina.
And also joined with Carla Goldammer with D&J Site Construction.
That's it.
And you're located in Texas, but where at?
The Rio Grande Valley, the very bottom.
Oh, very fun. And so today we're choosing to discuss breaking stereotypes in this industry. And I know there's a lot of things I think of when I think about breaking stereotypes in construction. But one of my first questions are, what are the things that you two think of when you think of breaking stereotypes in construction, in particularly where you're at in the world you're in? So, Kelsey, go for it.
Oh, you had to start with me. I probably have the most unpopular opinion about stereotypes with women in the construction industry. So I'm curious. I know you just asked me, but I'm curious. Maybe we start with Carla and then we can go from there and see how it alters.
We have the debate going on. Yes.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. Go for it, Carla.
Well, I'll go for it. My feeling on this is I grew up in the construction industry, and I think so did you, Lillian.
Mm-hmm.
So that when years and years ago, not so long ago, actually, the women were in the office behind the scenes, not heard of. So and they never really met each other, I don't think, because there was no internet, it was just telephone. And so I think what we bring to the industry now is you're seeing women project managers, women engineers, and we have a big voice sometimes, and we should use our big voice. I like the fact that nowadays it's so much easier to meet each other. I can see Kelsey in North Carolina and Lillian in Oregon, and we may not get to see each other on a daily basis, but we can collaborate and share. And I think we're very lucky right now to be in the industry and breaking strides and changing things in our industry. So we're not in the back room, unseen and unheard.
Yeah, there definitely is a stereotype. It's less now than it was, because if you thought of who's doing the accounting and the bookkeeping, or who's the equipment operator, there were definite stereotypes. The women were in the office and the men were out in the field. And now we're working on breaking that. That's what we're all about, is showing that women can function well and can succeed in a male-dominated industry. But there you go, Kelsey, it's your turn.
So I guess if you just look at stereotypes in general, like I said, I have the unpopular opinion. If you were to be asked, like, what is a typical job that a female works, what would your answer be to that? Like, really, what would your answer be?
A teacher or nurse.
Yeah. So, like, in what jobs would a typical male work? In stereotypical. construction or just like any male job, a doctor, an attorney or things like that. Those are just the stereotypical things.
Yes.
So I guess it's like, is it really a stereotype in construction or is it just a stereotype that's made in general for all fields? So I guess that's my thought. So it's not, in my opinion, it's not typically just a construction thing. And it's like, no matter what industry you're in, I think the whole point is that you're providing like value to whatever industry that you're in. So despite the stereotype, I don't know. Does that make sense to you?
Mhm.
In my
It
brain?
does. I do agree with you. I do agree that there are stereotypes just for males and females. It doesn't matter whether it's construction, just in general there are. But in construction in particular,
Mhm.
when you hear of a female in business, in the construction industry, what are the natural tendencies that people think they're doing? If you say, oh, hey, I work for this construction company over here, what are the things that you naturally think of that that female is doing? In general, it's
Office
in
work,
the
answering the
office.
phone,
Yeah.
answering the phone and doing accounting.
And billing and those kind of things. But that's not a necessity per se these days. I mean, we've grown and women have gained a voice, but in that we also have a hard time, I think, and I've talked to Kelsey about this a lot, is the fact that a lot of our problem in the industry as females is confidence.
Mhm.
And I think that is really, as I've looked at the subject, that's really the thing that hits the nail on the head, is having confidence in some of these situations. And are there situations that you've thought of that have you felt like there's a stereotype that you've stepped into? Is there a
Mhm.
situation that you can think of where you've walked up and you're like, "Ugh, just because I'm a girl?" I know, like, example is that when you go to change the oil in a car, the way they talk to your spouse changing the oil to a car, in a car, or a male, versus what they try to sell the female, of all those extras. Oh, of this is bad and that is bad, and that's the kind of thing. What are some of those experiences you guys have gotten in your industry? And I know Carla probably has a whole lot more thoughts on that than Kelsey, because Carla's been around longer and had a lot more experience in it. But um, are there some situations that you can think of that you've had to deal with those?
Kelsey?
I'll go first. Yeah, it's fine. Again, I probably have the unpopular opinion about this, but I 100% agree with you, Lillian, about the confidence thing, because yes, there are some men that make comments or do certain things, and it really is because you're a woman. Like, I won't downplay that, but I've come and made the effort to consciously tell myself, if I continuously say that he's treating me this way or doing this certain thing because I'm a woman, it's highlighting the fact it's because I'm a woman. And it's giving me an excuse or enabling myself for the behaviors that are happening, because it might not be because I'm a woman. It might be because I'm not exuding confidence of the subject that he's asking me about. So he's going to look at someone else. It could be that I'm stuttering over my words and can't answer things, or I'm hiding behind my husband or just off to the side and not putting myself in that situation. So yes, like I said, of course there are times where people are like that, but I try not to make that an excuse for their behaviors. I want to push myself in my role, or just like self-confidence, and I guess prove that it's, I guess, give them every like that's hard to explain. So like, make sure that I have done everything that I can in knowledge and in self-confidence to know that it's not because I'm a woman, like, and not make that excuse. So like, yeah, like we go to trade shows all the time and automatically they go right to Daniel and shake his hand, introduce himself, and kind of later on maybe say hi to me. But in those situations, I can just go up and put my hand out there and exude confidence, I'm sorry, or have like push myself in those situations to be in front instead of, oh, in my mind, oh, he's not doing this because I'm a woman. No, it's because maybe Daniel was in front of me. He was the first person he saw and he shook his hand, and that's the reason. So, like I said, maybe not popular opinion, but that's my thoughts.
No, I think they're very valid, and I think those are great examples of things that go on. What
Mhm.
about you, Carla?
Kind of the same, you know, like when you point the finger, you've got so many, you know, one pointing out and the rest of them pointing back at yourself. So I'm kind of like Kelsey, like, you know, make sure that I've done everything that I can possibly do to present myself in a better spot uh, when I have to deal with these un uh, these men. So I'm not a man hater. I'm not a man hater.
No.
But yes, I've had to deal with it. You know, one of our general contractors years ago, he was behind with payments with me. And so I just had my assistant call and tell him, like, look, these are your options because this is what we're going to do in 2 days. We're sending out notices. And he was like, well, I want to talk to Mark. And she was like, well, Carla told me to call you. Well, I want to talk to Mark about it. And she's like, well, Mark doesn't have anything to do with it. Like, this is Carla's lane. This is, you know, it's coming from her. And he just was furious that, you know, we kept cutting him off. And she was like, look, she's the one that's doing this. She's in charge. This is who you're going to talk to. Um, so I ended up getting my money, but he, you know, I never let him talk to Mark. I just like, no, this is the way it is. So sometimes you have to stand your ground, but I have found when you have at least one person that you know has your back, and maybe sometimes that's all you need is that one person to pat you on the back and say, you got this, you know, don't lower your head, don't lower your eyes, stand tall, sit up straight, and, you know, do your job. And sometimes you, as a woman, have to be more assertive and let them say, oh, well, she's really grouchy today. You know, if it was a man doing it, most of the time they wouldn't say that. But when it comes from a woman, oh, well, she's grouchy or she's this or she's that. So it's just something we have to deal with.
So do you think it's important to break some of those stereotypes?
Oh, definitely.
And why?
I think it helps bring more people into the field. But again, like I said, I'm not a big person on continuously highlighting the stereotypes that are known, because I feel like if you focus always on those things, you're pushing people away from the field. Because if you continuously say, well, women are treated this way in construction, like sexual harassment or how they just talk to women in general, then why would you want to go in that field? Why would anyone else want to do what you're doing in a field dominated by men? So I guess that answers I don't like highlighting it, but I totally just blanked on the question. What was your question?
You're good. You're good. It was just about breaking stereotype, and is it important? I think it's important um, because we are all equal. We are all equal, and just because in years past we were all, this is a man's job and this is a woman's job, and our world, the world, I mean, it used to be like this, and now it's kind of done this a little bit in trying to say, you know what, just because I'm a female doesn't mean that I can't operate equipment. It doesn't mean that I can't go out there and estimate. It's not something I like, and I think it's really about finding the things that you like, because there are a lot of female equipment operators. There are a lot of female, I mean, we know multiple female business owners of paving companies and dirt work companies and they enjoy it. And I think that's more so how you succeed, is the fact that you enjoy it and it is a passion of yours. The obviously asphalt is not necessarily a passion of mine, but being around the people and the people in this, because I've found in the construction world, we're really not out there to impress a whole lot of people. I mean, it's the raw, dirty dirt work. And I feel like, and maybe this is my own stereotype of occupations is that it's a little bit more of a real world because there's just dirt that just happens. And if we look at who's doing it and if they have a passion for it, that's when you're good at whatever you do, is if you have a passion and you can be confident in what you do. I know that multiple times there's been situations where, as Kelsey said, Keith and I will be together and someone will come up and shake his hand and start talking to him. And it's even about some of the contracts and things like that he doesn't really deal with. And
Mhm.
I have to really push myself forward and say, oh, I'm the one that deals with that, and this is why, and these are the things that go on. But I have to stand my ground, and I have to be, um, I have to know who I am. And I think that's part of the key of we've let those stereotypes sneak into our worlds because we're not confident in who we are for us, not for anyone else, but just for us. And I think that's what makes the women who have succeeded in construction world more successful and enjoy it because they're confident in who they are, what their likes and dislikes are, and how they want to be treated. And I think in the other occupations, they're doing it just to make a living. Am I off base, or what are your thoughts about some of those things?
I don't think you're off base. 2 weeks, well, before I went on vacation, I had Mark forwarded me an email from one of the project managers, and I'm sure he's young and probably a couple of years out of college. And he sent a pay app back to Mark and was like, hey, can you all fix this? Well, Mark had nothing to do with it. He wasn't in on the first email. It came from the office. And I do get irritated about those things. And on the initial emails with the new project manager, I'm kind of like you, Lily. Like, I do contracts, I do insurance. You want something signed, a signature, you want pay apps, this, I lay out for them exactly who does what. And maybe he caught me on a bad day that day. And I just laid into the poor guy, through an email. And I was like, is there any part of this email that you don't understand? Because I would be glad to call you. And he was like, no, I get it now. But sometimes you just have to just do it, just say it. Just, stand our ground, and this is who we are. And,
So
or
what are
not.
some ways, what are some practical ways that each of you have found in breaking those stereotypes? Whether you've done them or whether you've seen them displayed, what are some of those practical ways that you beat some of those stereotypes, whether it be in construction or even just out in the world of doing something?
Well, like you said, we are in construction and are women, so we're breaking one stereotype there. Um, I'm just kidding, but I guess you could say, I mean, if you do different tasks or try it or be on site with different people, or like you said, just exuding that confidence in pushing yourself in different roles or gaining the knowledge in the field, and I guess just proving yourself or just providing value in the field. I mean, honestly, it's any field. I mean, nursing wise, it's just learning that knowledge in order to have like like that clout, like that reputation, that knowledge that someone will go to you and you be able to give them an answer.
Well, like in the nursing field, I'm sure male nurses,
Yeah.
the roles reversed. Everybody's looking at them like, well, why are you a nurse? Like,
They are sought upon. If you are a man in nursing, you got that job right away. You got it. Because they got
Really?
those muscles typically. They can pull patients around. You're getting that job if you're a man.
But I think part of that is that, like you said, obviously they're muscular and have more muscles than you, but I think that's part of even how you carry yourself into a room.
Mhm.
When you carry yourself, when I carry myself confidently into a pre-con meeting, it's very different than when I follow my son and just kind of sit back and do nothing.
They
But
look at
I
you.
think, yeah, yeah. I mean, it's like, so why'd you bring her? And it's some of those things, and they expect some of those details to be kept. And I think there's something in this that I don't think it's that men don't value the women because they really know we're the ones who keep it all together. I don't think any of them would argue with that. They know we're the ones who are picking up those details and catching all those details.
Mm-hmm.
But I think they just like to have the clout, as Kelsey was saying, to say, yeah, we did this. When the we is really, most of the backside work was all over here, and the front side work was us. But we've had women operators, but they haven't necessarily succeeded because they're not confident. They're not willing to stand up for themselves. And I really think it's all about how you carry yourself in the knowledge that you have. And we don't know everything, but the little bit of knowledge we do have, you just have to be confident in that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of those things that I think I've learned through the years, is that as soon as I start being confident and speaking, yes, I do own K&L Industries, and this is what we do. And I don't have to know the details. That was something I was dealing with recently in a meeting. He was asking, well, do you do the paving? I said, well, do you know every detail about what you do? I said, this is what you say you do. Do you do from A to Z and you can tell me exactly how it's done? He goes, well, that's beside the point. I said, no, it's not. I said, this is the part of the business that I handle, and this is the part of business that I know, and I have confidence in all the people that I have out there to do the rest,
Yep.
just like you do. So you can't say that I am not the business owner or a competent business owner just because I don't know every detail.
Right.
And I think that's oftentimes where we as women tend to think, oh, if we don't have all the answers, then we just have to say nothing because we don't want to be wrong or we don't want to mislead someone. But as soon as you, put your big girl panties on and stand up and say, nope, this is what it is, then men start respecting you. And I can tell you in our company, the men act very differently when I'm around than when I'm not. And if they see me pull up on the job, they're all busy, they're taking care of things, they make sure and watch their words, and I haven't said anything to them.
They respect you.
Yes, and that's part of it is, the confidence and respect is that you have to build that. And
Mhm.
I think that's where this group comes into play, is that we have to be confident and the respect with each other. Gathering together and just having our conversations brings more confidence and respect that we do know things about the business and we do know how to do business. Maybe not every detail, but we do know how to function and make it succeed. And the truth is, without us, there'd be a lot of problems because they're. Go
Yeah, I
ahead.
think being part, knowing the business and being strong in what we do, we know we don't know everything, but I'm going to go find somebody who knows this. That's not my strong point, but I'm going to go find somebody that I don't know how to, change a tire. I don't know how to change a motor out of a piece of equipment, but I hire somebody to do that. And
But
that's
that's
where,
the whole point. What you're saying right now and what Lillian's saying is you're having the confidence and being humble enough to point out that you don't know. And some people don't know how to do that. And so that makes you look, I mean, truthfully, it's in my opinion, you look ignorant and you're not willing to learn. So you're not a leader. You're not in that position. Like, because you're saying those things, you're not willing to learn and humble yourself and say, I just don't know.
Right.
So it's the self-confidence and being able to say that gives you that clout.
Mhm.
Well, and I mean, as you said that, I thought, how many times have we dealt with men who are willing to say, well, I don't know. The ones that I've dealt with, those are the ones that I like to hire because because they admit that they don't know and they have to go search it out, and that, they don't have every answer. In fact, there's a salesman that we've had in the past that, man, typical salesman. And I said, if you ever came to my door, I would probably slam the door in your face because I wouldn't hire you, because you don't have all the answers. And the moment a person has all the answers, that's when you close off, is because they don't really have all the answers, because everybody, there's no one that has all the answers. And
Right.
so, and I think that's the thing about the difference between men and women, is that oftentimes it's easier for women to humble themselves and say, you know what, I don't know, but I can find the answers. And I think that's one of those stereotypical things that, especially in this business, that's a strength that we have, because we can vocalize that and still be confident. Well, I don't know, but I'll go find out. I'll get back to you on that. And in that, it gains confidence for people. So Carla, do you have any female equipment operators?
I don't. I've had two. The last one I had was a roller operator, and that's all she did, is she was a roller operator, and the guys loved her. And she only lasted about a month, and they were sad for her to leave, because they said, if she's got a shovel, she jumps off the roller and she just starts shoveling right there with them. She was very confident in herself. The other female that I've had was a loader operator, but she came from an asphalt plant. And so she really didn't operate. She could load trucks. She was great at loading trucks, but like moving dirt around, or, doing a cut or something with the machine, she wasn't that confident. And I think she had it in her, but she had other things going on in her life.
So Kelsey, do you guys have any female operators?
No, we've had some apply, but truthfully, it's the way that we're set up and like our locker rooms and things like that, it would be a little inappropriate to have a woman right now, because we're not set up for that. That locker room related. We can certainly put something into a bathroom or things like that, but it's just currently right now we're not set up changing wise that could be a good environment for that. Not opposed to it at all. It's just we're just not set up right now to mesh that.
Yeah, we've had, through the years, we've had a few. Probably our worst experience was a female truck driver that she didn't know up from down, and she would get lost going around the block. And we really tried really hard, but it just was, when it was taking her twice as long to get to jobs, we just had to call it quits. And but we gave her a try, and we're willing to do that. They don't, they're few and far between. We have a female salesperson, and it's interesting for her to get her foot in the door has been more difficult than the male salesman getting in the door. But once they spend time with her, we get rave reviews and they all love her. But once again, I think part of that her learning process has been figuring out how to be confident in what she does know, because she came from a different industry as well, but she wanted to learn. So we were willing to give her that chance. And I think in general, the stereotypes, as Kelsey said, are not just in construction, but really in general. In construction, we have to battle that men are the equipment operators, they're the business owners, they're, and women are in the office doing the backside. But we can do both. The other day, we had to postpone this podcast because I had to be on the job seal coating. And actually, I thoroughly enjoyed that day. I had my boots on and I was driving the truck and running some of the equipment, but that was because we were short, and actually all the owners were out on different jobs that day because we've just been busy and filling in. And I love that aspect of this when I can do something different. I love being in the office and socializing, but I love just as much being out with the guys and watching them work and helping them work.
Mhm.
Um, and and I think they appreciate the fact that we're willing to be out there too. That it's not just I can't get my hands dirty or I can't break a nail. You know, it's fun to be out there alongside them and watch some of the stuff they do because truthfully it gives us a better education on the backside as we're scheduling, as we're working things out to go, oh, these are some of the details you have to think about. And I don't think that's just in construction. I think that's in any job. When you spend time in the field, you gain such a greater appreciation for what actually goes on.
And it's in every
And
department though, too. So like that's a
yes,
huge thing that we started at our company is when you are hired on, you are to be in every department. I want you to learn what it's like to be an admin because they do a lot of things that you don't realize. I want you to be a part of sales. I want you to go on that site visit with them, walk the lots, see what that salesperson is doing to put your project together before you go out and complete it. Put that paint on that parking lot. And I also want the girls and the sales guys or sales girls or whoever's here in the office, I want them to go on that job site once in a while, go see what the guys have to go through. And they're putting everything that you just did and put together for that project out on that pavement. Like I want you to see everything because you get a better respect for it. You can answer questions to your client so much easier and you get that validate like that your client knows that you know what's going on. They know that you know the process, you're educated about your services. So like you said, though, it's man, woman, whatever you're doing, as long as you're providing value and you're gaining knowledge in that industry, like that's what you need in order to, I guess, break those stereotypes or things. It doesn't, whatever, no matter what industry you're in, you have that obligation to provide value. And with TCS, I think that's a great platform for women to prove their value to the industry, give it to other women and tell them what's going on, what you're doing in your company to provide that value, that you get that respect from those guys because you went on that job site with them and got in the boots and got the sealer going in the truck or whatever you were doing out there, or just like getting in the nitty gritty with them. So I don't know. That was my little soapbox on that, but I like it.
Well, you're talking about putting your boots on, Lillian. I'm a big component of how you dress. So my mom raised me from very young, like, you don't leave the house without your makeup on. Like, you just don't. So that's been drilled into me, and I don't. If I go to Walmart, I'm not going to leave the house without my makeup on. But I've learned that the way I dress has a lot to do with my confidence here in the office or out on the job site. So how did it make, you said you love putting your boots on. How did you feel different that day putting your boots on rather than other, opposed to dressing for the office?
well, I'm the opposite of you. My mom never wore makeup ever, and I wear very little on very little occasion. That's just never been me. Now, my sister, who's a year older than I am, she wears makeup all the time. But in school and high school, I'm the one who's driving the car and putting the mascara on just to get it on before I get to school because I like to sleep better. But it it's very natural to me, and especially raising 6 boys, that the boys' world, I'm in it. I love a boys' world, but that's because I know who I am and I don't need their confidence. Um, I don't. I know who I am as a female, as a woman. That I don't need. I don't need their um, compliments or their words of affirmation for me to remember that I'm a female. I'm just enjoying myself, and I love. I mean, I've always been more of a tomboy than a girl's girl. I
Mhm.
mean, I love frills, don't get me wrong. I love frills and I love lace. but I'm way more comfortable in being able to go out and chop wood outside and to run with the boys and to do that kind of thing. But I think that's where I know who I am personally, and those are the things that I like. And I've always wanted to be a girly girl, but it just seems like such a pain to me. So much work that I also never wanted to make someone have to wait on me for extra makeup or making sure that everything's perfectly ironed or all those kind of things. I never wanted to even remotely be high maintenance. So that's why I thoroughly enjoyed being with the boys, because they just remind me of raising all my boys and all the stuff that goes on and the banter and the forgetfulness and the silliness that goes on. And it's kind of freeing and fun because I don't expect them to perform. I like to see our guys for who they are. And so that's why I enjoy putting my boots on and having to be there for them, because it was different and it was freeing just to hang out and not worrying about performing or getting all the details in a row, because I was and maybe it's because I wasn't in charge that I could just relax. That may have been the difference too. But it is fun to dress up, don't get me wrong, but it's just not my favorite all the time. Has to be comfy. Has to be a dress with pockets.
Yes.
Pockets.
Pockets. It has pockets.
So Keith and I recently had a conversation about the fact that, when one girl tells another one, "Oh, I really like your dress," I said, "If it has pockets," the first thing she says, "And it has pockets." And he says, like, "Is that the most important thing?" I said, "Most of the time it is, because you have somewhere to put your stuff without having to fill a purse with it." But um, so any other thoughts on the stereotypes, particularly in construction, or are there um, some great hints that you can pass on for those that are listening to try? I know for me, one of the things that helped me to gain my own confidence was when walking in a room, especially with a bunch of construction guys, is that I'm the first to step in, reach out my hand, and shake their hand. Because then they started saying, "Oh, she's here." And so are there some other hints like that either of you have?
I think a lot of it, or like if you're going to presentations or things like that, like you said, be prepared, have knowledge in what you're actually, the industry that you're in, do your homework, have knowledge. And like you said, try and exude that confidence as much as you can, or put yourself in those situations. Be uncomfortable. It's okay.
Mine would be is, don't think about the typical stereotypes. Just be ready for what you're walking into and have that confidence and see everybody as, their own person, not male or female.
And one last question that I meant to ask earlier. So, what are some of the strengths that you see having women in construction? What is the advantage of having women in construction?
Perspective. I think women have a different perspective, experiences, I mean, just in general.
I think so. I think sometimes it's easier for us to organize and stay focused and on target, and perhaps see the bigger picture and not just get overwhelmed with the little bitty details.
I agree. I think the companies that have women involved, whether it be in the office or out in the field, they almost have that leg up on the other companies, because I believe that God built women to run the home, we're naturally built to multitask. We're naturally built to notice details and get them taken care of when others, just like that magic toilet paper fairy that changes the toilet paper. That's kind of what happens out there in the job construction. These things magically happen, especially when women are involved, because they know it and they see it and they innately take care of it. Versus, how many guys walk in that bathroom, there's 5 days later, the toilet paper thing is still empty and the roll's on the floor because why bother putting it on? And so I think most of the advantage is the details that we can take care of, that we notice without even realizing that we notice. It's just built in to the female nature to see the details and to naturally take care of things. And I know that when we have big jobs, it's important to us. We send a couple of the women in our office literally not to take care of the actual hands-on work, but to just walk around and notice things so that they can keep the order. And I think women try to keep the order of things. And for men, it will eventually get done, but there'll be a lot of cleanup later. But the women keep things in order so that there is an order. And when you say, well, how many cones did you have out there? I could bet money on the fact that a woman would know how many cones are out there. And the guys are like, well, I don't know. I put them here and I put them there, and they never stop and think how many they had to start with. So
Right.
I think women in any construction business is a huge advantage because they have that extra eye on order and how to keep chaos under control, and the things that will naturally get taken care of just because we're females and that's how God built us.
Yeah.
Any more words from either of you?
I don't
No.
think so. Just, when you meet a young girl, just encourage her. Encourage her to take those chances.
It's fun. It's a whole world of brothers that hang around with you and they can enjoy you and not worry about performing to impress, because the fact that you're working together is impressive enough.
Welcome to the TCS Woman Podcast, where the ladies of the top contractor school are going to get together to discuss what it's like to be a woman in construction, leadership, and navigating the balance between it all. Your host for the TCS Woman Podcast will be Carla Goldammer, who has been in construction for almost 30 years with D&J Site Construction. She will be accompanied by a rotation of co-hosts that include Elizabeth Reinman of RK Reinman Construction, Sandra Albert of Bay Country Contractors, Lillian Calloway of K&L Industries, and Kelsey Wright of Pro Line Parking Lot Maintenance. Let's get started.